everybody sitting comfortably, then we'll begin.
Drop the needle!
Well, hello and welcome to the Uncalled For. We have a wonderful show planned for you tonight. We're going to be going over 2022 and we're going to kick it in the butt and shoot 2022 out the window. So that's what I do. If anybody doesn't know me very well, they'll know that if I don't like something, it goes out the window and it goes out on the front lawn or something. So that's what we're going to do with 2022. We're just going to launch it into the atmosphere and get rid of it, but go over some of the interesting things that we found this year. So it should be very good. So I can't wait to get started. We'll get started by telling you who's here. And first we have Mipet 69 with us tonight. I'm so excited. Yay.
Hey
And I wanted
guys.
to hello,
Happy
hello.
New Year and all that crap.
Exactly. We also have Claire Bear with us. You know, she's always here with me. She's my partner in crime in this show, so she has to be here.
Yes, in crime indeed, and we're gonna murder 2022 definitely. I need content for Monday, Aimee. It's a good thing. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited. And then next up, we also have our producer, Dick Dawson, with us tonight. And he's going to be helping us push all the buttons and let us know what's going on and things like that. So this should be a lot of fun. I'm excited. We get to go over all of the big stories. We have at least a list of 10. I'm sure that as we go along, we're going to, one story will spark memory of another one, and we'll probably have more than 10, but at least we've got 10 to start with tonight. So what does everybody think that now that 2022 is gone?
Oh, for me, relief. Oh, really, actually. Thank you. and a tutti fart too, but yes, absolutely relief. It was a long one. Don't you think that this year went sometimes too fast, but towards the end, really too slow for me.
Absolutely.
The few good parts went by way too quick, and everything else dragged because it sucked ass.
It did.
It did.
Well, there's a war, there's political unrest, there's economical unrest in multiple countries, where we all talk with.
There's still COVID, even though that's dropped out of the news. It's still happening.
And here in the States, it just got back in the news because the CDC is talking about a much stronger variant right now. And they've actually issued free COVID tests to all the houses again, and more warnings. And they're saying, "Buckle up, Buttercup, here it comes." And I'm like, "Oh gosh, not again, not again." Well,
exactly. Yeah, and I saw that too, and I was thinking, oh great, here we go, because there's a certain someone in my household who loves to bring home presents. He did the last time. Yes.
Well, in school, right? It's definitely, if you're school age, I mean, definitely you're going to get exposed more.
Absolutely.
There's a lot more kids in concentrated areas, no matter how protected or what they do. It's going to happen.
Yes. 7-year-old twins.
Yes, petri dishes, all of them. I'm
exactly.
sorry. It even through the teen years until they're 21. That's what I think.
I was just gonna say it never changes, because I love children, and and I love my son to death, but he's a little germ bag. He always brings home the fun presents to us, and it's he brings home the fun things that we've never had. So it's and now we have different cold variants going around too. There was a strange one that was going around that they were talking about. There was, of course, COVID's back in business because, of course, it's winter. Everybody's inside. It's colder. Everybody's sneezing all over everybody, and no one covers their mouth. So there's that. And it's just So I'm expecting some interesting things to happen. Oh, we just got a member message from Mark Beiser. Thank you so much, Mark. He says, in a few months, we will be nostalgic for 2022 with a smirk face. Thank you so much.
I look forward to nostalgia, definitely, rather than dealing with it. Just like remembering only the good things a little bit, if we can.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Which
There
means
were,
for, yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. I was just going to say, looking forward to the nostalgia, which means we forgot 7/8 of 2022. So
Already.
yeah.
And it wasn't age. It was that bad. It's not
It was-
age. It's none of that. It was just that bad. It's like self-preservation, lack of memory. Just like put it in a closet and get rid of it. But some of it's still going on. And we can't. But,
Look, do you
Exactly.
notice that a lot of people, the nostalgia, it doesn't go from a happy event to a happy event. It's always from like a war to a war, or a war to another horrible event. It's never a good, like a good thing to a good thing.
No.
Human beings are weird people, Yeah.
Yeah, we're essentially drama llamas. We like to cause all kinds of issues, and we go from one thing to another, and thing that's bad to another, and we just don't see, and we just do not sometimes understand the impact we make on others, and that's a problem as well. Like not covering your mouth and nose when you sneeze. Just something as simple as that to to anything else. You can do something that can spark an international incident, and is that too.
Can you imagine that? Like sneezing is causing an international incident. It
did.
It is. It's true. It did. Like, but
it did.
That's a meme. Somebody needs to meme that. Like, definitely, I could see that. But yeah,
It all started with a sneeze. An uncovered one. Yeah, I'm always, and that's my thing too, because since Matt was old enough to know to cover that. He's always hearing that. Cover that. That's. I think that's going to be on my tombstone. I swear, is cover that.
No, let's see. What? Yeah, but there must have been some good things. Like I really shouldn't even ask because I'm trying to think of one right now myself.
Well, 2022 turned out better than we thought going into it. Ukraine still exists.
True.
For now, democracy still exists in the United States for I don't know how long, but it turned out better than it looked, say, 12 or 11 months ago.
I could kind of agree with that because coming out of like 2020 when we were still we were still pretty heavy in the pandemic, things were shaky. We weren't sure economy, even internationally, where we were standing with the relations we had previously with organizations in other countries. I can hear that as an American. The thing about democracy, though, like that's kind of heating up a little bit compared to like in 2022. So I don't know. I seriously believe there is an attack on democracy in the United States right now.
Well, yeah, that's why I said, but for how long? But a lot of the people who made campaign promises to use their offices to basically decide who was going to get elected, a lot of those people lost.
Yes, and there were a lot of great memes about it too, because some of them were on platforms that were just, a little bit ridiculous. But not to get political about it, but just the humor involved in it, like some of the things that, came out about certain candidates that they thought they could keep private while they're running on opposite issues was hysterical. It made for good fodder in social media everywhere. A little lighter bit of the story, so that was a little upbeat. For me, it kept my humor.
Absolutely.
Some of it was good. Yeah.
And we even got to, and the cool thing is about, the one good thing too about 2022 is that we did get to squeeze in last minute a really funny story. So
do you want to start with that one? That's not even in. Just to give you a heads up, that's not in the feed for the good pictures and everything. Because that one,
No, but that one is
that
just
was-
that one is just so good though. It's so
No,
sweet, and
no,
it's gonna be one of those ones that
Mhm.
you don't even need to have a thing
Mm.
to read off of to talk about that one.
Yeah, I
The picture shows all.
yes,
Yeah, the
it
picture in my
kinda
mind
does.
is perfect.
Yes, I don't know. I don't know how many people in the chat are familiar because of like if you're not on Twitter or Instagram, you may not have saw the actual video, the visuals of it. But it did get to regular media, right? The big media picked it up and put the pictures everywhere. Because there was a lot of rumor and speculation about it too. What should we tell them who we're talking about, Aimee, or should we just keep like just hitting around at it for the next 10 minutes until somebody yells at us? No, no.
Yes, please. We should
Okay.
let them know
Yeah,
who we're
well,
talking.
I can assure you that this conversation will be hashtagged with my quotes for quite a while. But we're going to talk about Andrew Tate, or in other words, there's a not nice name that he was granted on my channel the other day. We were told by God, and I'm
Hashtag
telling
on
you,
that too.
God, and not God, but grumpy old dude God, if any of you know him from Hereticals, informed me I cannot call him Andrew Tate anymore. I must call him Angry Taint. So this is about Mr. Tate, because I think if I put Mr. in front
Yes.
of it, he'll let me say it. But Mr. Tate made a damn fool of himself, as usual.
Did.
Because he opened his mouth for one.
Stupidly.
Stupidly. But
Oh,
why? I still
funny.
don't understand why. Maybe Mipet, Dick, Aimee, one of you, somebody in the chat, Commander, could somebody tell me why he did that first tweet to Greta? Like, what possessed this man to tweet about his 33 cars, his big golly, whatever, and this, and just make fun of her because of the emissions, whatever, and just put it out there like bragging, right? But why? Like,
Just
what
stir.
Because he's a dumbass. I mean, Sir Sick did a video where Andrew Tate was talking about how he was smart because he hadn't read a book since high school.
Oh, I was
He doesn't
wondering.
read.
I was wondering if maybe a climate study came out, or Greta was in the press somewhere for some big speech or something, and he just was having a go. Like I thought maybe
Yeah.
something was trending, because why all of a sudden out of the blue does he like got to go smack an 18-year-old? Boom.
Because he's a troll and a bully.
Pretty much. That's
that's a given. Yeah.
he was being like what we talked about earlier. I think he just wanted to be a drama llama, and he kind of wanted to troll a little bit and poke a little bit. And
turns out he's not really good at it. He's really not good at it. Because he did put that tweet out with his big picture cigar and his fancy silk Japanese robe that he wears and whatever, and he tagged Greta to it, and Greta answered him, and she said, "Yeah, he said, I'd like to tell you about all my cars and their awesome emissions, their enormous emissions,
Yes.
And she picked up on it. She picked up on the keyword language he was using and the little subtle put downs and the misogynistic pushback. She got it.
She did.
She's 18, but she got it.
And on the spectrum as well. I think that's why I gravitate towards her so much. Because she is on the spectrum, and she, but she was right up on those quips, and I was just
she did. And she said, yes, Mr. Tate. Yes, please. I'd love to hear about it. Why don't you send it to my email, smalldickenergy@getalife.com. I kid you not. That's the email she put out there. And these idiots,
yes,
Andrew Tate, and Walsh too, Matt Walsh. All right.
He's an idiot.
She's got the funniest email. Like, she just owned herself with her own email. I'm like, you idiots, you don't even know, like, that's a joke email. Like, that's a joke.
Do they not get that?
Joke email? Like, are you serious? Do the people that follow you actually believe that she thinks that that's her email? Do you think that most of us think that's her email. No, we don't. We know better than that. That was the joke. But so
It
Andrew
was.
goes. So
Good.
Andrew takes a little while, more time than usual. As Aimee, he took like 10, 11 hours to respond to her after she responded with that. It took him a while to think of what to do.
He's too stupid.
Yeah, because
He had
he's
to
like,
have
he's like,
help.
he's like humana, because social media blew up. They thought this was the funniest thing. It was everywhere. It
It
was even on
was
Fox News.
brilliant.
I mean, Fox News put Greta's reply up there, and I'm like, oh damn, this is huge. Like, it was on CNN, MSNBC. It was on every one of the cable shows, and plus it was all over Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. It even made Mastodon, which doesn't, that's a trickle thing. Like, stuff doesn't usually get over there
No, it's
that
harder.
easily. Nope, he was
Yeah, that's
trending
harder.
over there. He was trending over there too as a big joke. Everybody
Oh
was
my
on
God.
Greta's
Everybody
side
was doing
that she owned his butt, so to speak. Like, that was it. That was total own. That was like, oh yeah, take, boom. Like, nice of you to flash that all out here for us. But
exactly, Jen.
he takes 10 hours or 10 or 11 hours to respond with a 2-minute video trying to diss her about her energy, her small peony energy or whatever, and how, making fun of like his cigar smoking, that he was like ruining the environment, and like making jokes, saying that somebody had, this was the offensive part, Aimee. Somebody had to sit Greta down to talk to her and turn her mind into being an environmentalist. Like, somebody had to instruct her how to do this. Like, and that, as if she doesn't have a free thought of her own and didn't like think the environment was
like
an important issue anyway.
exactly. She was the one who got into that, it's that was her thing that she really latched onto, and that's what she wanted to take care of, was the environment.
Yeah. So offensive how he was trying to put her down.
I
for that.
know.
Like, as if she
was
brainwashed. Yes, because she's a woman. She couldn't possibly have thought of anything on her own. That's Andrew Tate's line. We need him to tell us how to be. Obviously, and and also the only reason we speak out against him is because we can't be with him. Did you know that, Aimee? Like, we are all desperately speaking out against him because he won't have anything to do with us.
Oh, I see. That's interesting.
I believe that was in the theme of the last 10 parties I had. Andrew Tate doesn't know who I am. Hallelujah. Like, no.
Thank God.
It's like, no.
Isn't Andrew Tate, without money, known as an incel?
Well, without money, pretty much that's kind of
with it too.
His teachings are. Only it's a little more dangerous than that.
It's the red pill stuff. It's the it's
the make men think that they're being persecuted when they're not, so that they become just go down a rabbit hole and become violent. I've actually seen it.
What I've saw on his Twitter, the way he speaks, like, he used the Matrix quote about, like, this is why you come to me, because there's an unanswered question you have, and something's wrong, and you want to figure it out, and this is why you're all flocking to me. He kind of used that quote, and when I saw it, like, I know it comes from Morpheus from the Matrix, but when I saw him write it, it clicked to me that MLM that he's got going, where they actually have to pay money to hear him tell them they're not good enough. Okay, he's actually trying to put out a message to people that are looking for not people in general, it's mostly male population, mostly younger, not doing well financially, not doing well in romantically, or what they consider in their view of what society would say is successful as far as conquering in their maleness. Also, he kind of puts labels on it. He kind of puts all of these requirements on it. And even as they pay to learn about it, he still tells them if they don't achieve, even after following his programs and all, then it's them, that they're just not good enough. And it's so self-defeating and so damaging, instead of actually helpful to them. You're looking for a message and a place to belong when you feel like you're outside of things, and then you just getting beat down. It's very manipulative, actually. It's very controlling, and dare I say, cultish in the language that he's using.
Mhm.
So,
Oh, absolutely. That's part of the danger too.
So he cripples them with bad advice, and then he blames them for not taking his bad advice and makes them feel like shit.
worse than even when they started, yes, because they can never achieve, and constantly tells them they'll never be as good as he is. Like he's like alpha number one, and he puts them in tiers. The main requirement when you pay the money, and you got to retweet him, you got to promote him. He's quite crafty that way, as far as a public relations, getting everything out there and making money. This MLN did make money, but you'll notice that all the
It did.
people that are supporting him publicly as celebrities, they're not the ones paying the money for this MLM, are they? They're not the ones supporting that whole thing. They're just, because he's getting publicity being in around him, and it's kind of kitschy. And it's not
It is.
and I'm not in no way putting down the fact that there are men that are in that situation that feel that way, and unfortunately that's not the kind of help that's really going to help them. I just don't see it doing them any good. It's actually making them farther out of society and not getting along, in making it more of a micro society where they're never going to succeed.
No, exactly. And it is, it's that cult-like mentality that and whatever, and what he does, it's so dangerous as well, is he repeats what he says. They all do. If you notice that, they put really good emphasis on the things they want, the message they want to get out, and they keep repeating it, and they keep pounding it into them. And that's also part of what's going on with Andrew Tate. That's so dangerous. He and his followers and the other channels that feature him, and all the other ones. And sometimes Andrew Tate is silly. During those moments, he's not so harmful, but he still can induce harm because he's such a big influencer. He really influences some of these people that he talks for, and it's so he's, even in his harmless moments, he can still be harmful because that's how he latches people in. Like some of the off the wall silly comments, like there was a video where he talks about making 2 coffees because he might have to fight Mike Tyson. and,
Right.
and how silly and fluffy that is. But on the other hand, then he goes on beyond that one soundbite, and then you listen to him further, and he's also talking about other things, about how he's high value, so women's time is not worth as much as a man's time, and he keeps pushing that. And so of course after a while, these men, yeah, you're right, and they go into that whole grab up our pitchforks and stuff like that. Women bad, men good, and it's sort of like that mindset too. So it's kind of scary. It's not good.
No, it's not. There's just so much more. Like when you speak on it, they automatically say, "Oh, well, you're just against him because he's putting women back in his place." And that's not really the issue that I have, because I understand biology. I understand, men needing to be strong. Women are definitely okay. Here comes one of those hashtags that's going to follow me for 2023. But women are definitely have a softer outlook. We are not as strong in some things as men.
Exactly.
Unless we achieve to be. I'm not saying you can't be a bodybuilder, you can't be an athlete, you can't do all of that. Yes, you can. You really try at it, and you can. Yes, you can. You can build up. But just the way biology, just the way man is built and woman is built, and the whole thing.
We are
I get it.
biologically
I get let's just say I get the science behind it. Okay.
We are biologically different. Yes.
And as strong a personality as I am as a female out here, I understand that. And I actually give that to men. I give it to you. I give it to men for that. Okay. I give it to you for that. Well, I don't need Andrew Tate to tell me that he's a man. I don't need Andrew Tate to have every breath that comes out of his body to prove it. That kind of tells me more about Andrew Tate than anything. That every
You
waking
mean that he
second.
is a small something or other?
No, there's just something in there, some need in there to make the world the way he wants it because he himself isn't fitting in.
Right.
Look, I think I don't want to, I'm not a psychologist, but I bet you he actually relates more to the people he's putting down in his own element than he realizes.
Well, I
and-
think so.
yeah, and this is his feed, this is his addiction to getting better on it, and I just don't think you should hurt
Or he's
people
in
to do
denial.
something like that, right? I don't think you need to hurt like the people you're trying to help to do it. But he
Exactly.
kind of hurt himself really bad with that 2-minute video, didn't he? Because he's sitting there all proud
Yes,
like a
he did.
peacock in his
Yes, he
satin
did.
robe, with his tattoo all showing and smoking his big old cigar and
His boobie hanging out.
yeah, and his tattooed boobie like that. That is not a pleasant tattoo. Like if you're gonna be showing all that stuff, make it a good one. That's
I
all
know. Instead of that,
Like,
whatever that
yeah.
mess is. Yeah, it's just
So then he calls over to the side for some planned. First of all, the whole thing looked scripted. 10 and a half
of course
hours.
it was.
10 and a half hours for him to come out and respond to the ridicule. Ask
And it
for some
probably
pizza
took
to be
8 takes.
delivered. And they plop 2 boxes on the middle of the table. And it says Jerry's Pizza on the side from Romania. So he was in Romania. And then the other shoe drops because the Romanian police already had an arrest warrant out for him. Now, it is false that actually Greta gave them that Greta doing this, making him pull out the response and getting them all upset actually helped them with the location because the Romanian, authorities have come out and said, no, we were hitting him anyway. Like we knew where he was. We got him, his
Exactly.
brother, and we got
Exactly.
2 other diplomats because he was arrested right after this video that he put out there to diss Greta back for human
It's a
trafficking.
pleasant coincidence.
Yes, it was just karma. I don't know what it was. It was like the stars aligning. I don't know.
Serendipity.
I don't believe in woo, but you smack the universe, and sometimes the universe is just gotta
It's gonna
smack
clap
you back.
back. Knock you
And-
for a loop.
And so they arrested him shortly afterwards. And there was a lot of speculation on that too. Like everybody's going, oh, he's only held for 24 hours because his Twitter was still active. Now,
Yeah.
he's a pretty big guy and he believes in public relations. The one thing that he can do is use the media. Like
Exactly.
Andrew Tate is making his millions because he knows how the media works. Period.
Exactly.
We know people like this. It's not that he's got something to sell that everybody wants. It's not that he's so enticing that everybody wants to listen to him. It's that he accurately knows how to use the media system perfectly. Oh.
Exactly.
But
Exactly. It's just and you don't have to be very intelligent to
Yeah.
be clever in marketing. I
Mhm.
mean, and I don't mean that as an insult to anyone in marketing. What I'm saying though is to manipulate what you need to do, you don't need to be very intelligent. You don't need to be very learned to do it. He obviously is one of those people. If you ever listen to the man speak,
Mhm.
he's an ignoramus. He's really, and that's scary because he is influencing so many other people out there.
Mhm.
And this man is an ignoramus, but he knows how to
Mhm.
be able to manipulate and he knows how to get his message to sink in.
He Dawson allegedly now charged with human trafficking. We don't actually have the Romanian indictment. It's not as easy to get as it is here in America for me. But I'm trying. I'm trying.
Okay.
But it is human trafficking, and I have got it right from the Romanian authorities' statement that it is human trafficking that they're going on. There was some rumor on
That
there that they're
too.
actually looking at money laundering. Now they're not
Yeah.
saying, they're saying that's not part of the original arrest warrant, but that there is an
Okay.
investigation into that because it makes sense. If you're making money on
then-
human trafficking, you obviously are putting that dirty money somewhere, like to get it clean again. So it's
Exactly.
like step 1,
Gotta
step
find that
2.
washing machine.
I mean,
yeah.
yeah, it just basically they go hand in hand together. But apparently he was bringing people into Romania, women in particular. Him and his brother are being accused of starting romantic relationships with women to bring them over to Romania, get them when they thought they were going to have a relationship with one or the other. a one-on-one relationship, and then getting them over into another building down the road where they were held captive against their will to make videos to be sold on the aftermarket. And they were like dicey videos. Or one of them, and they are not releasing the name, is actually accused of non-consensual acts to promote for video, and that is a big offense there. If one or the other one of those brothers is that, they're not going to get out of Romania. Okay,
Ever.
here's the other rumor that got answered by the Romanian authorities. There was a rumor that like he was held the first 24 hours, which is standard over there. But the prosecutors, the Romanian, I guess the whatever term they use for prosecutors, but here it would be the prosecutors, petitioned the court and the justice system to hold them for another 30 days while the investigation continued, because they could get out of the country, and they did. It is now reported that he is still in jail, regardless of their Twitter being active. Like he's being
Somebody
held.
else is running it.
Yeah,
There's a
somebody
couple
else is definitely running it, and that was confirmed. Right, that came out of Romania, so I'm kind of more to believe that than what's going around, on the local channels. So
Exactly, but it was on the major media outlets too that they reported that he was being held for 30 days longer because of the information that they had received from Romania. So,
and
it wasn't on Twitter.
The women that made the first complaint was American. She got a text to her ex-boyfriend or her boyfriend, and he actually reported it to the authorities, which started the whole investigation from what I heard. So there were quite a few Americans involved. So we don't know if there's going to be other charges over here. We have to see what happens over there first. But I think it's going to be a very messy year for Mr. Tate.
I think so. And his brother too. And his
Tristan,
little dog too.
And his little dog Toto. For Tristan and Toto too. There you go.
There we go.
Well, yeah, that took a long time, but that's the story on Tate for 2020. That's how he ended the year, with a bang.
Exactly. And Greta's last tweet was such a riot because it was a perfect joke for the end of it. She put, "That's what you get for not recycling your pizza box."
Yes.
She's brilliant. I love it.
It's true, and I wish it was actually true that they actually,
I know it would have been brilliant if it were true, but it was just beautiful coincidence. That's what that was.
It is, and it's just
perfection. It's the timing.
But I have to say, some of the people that were responding to Andrew Tate were really, really rude. Like they were like, "Okay, can Tate and can Andrew and Greta just stop like flirting and just get down to business already?" But they used other language, of course, that was ruder.
Of course.
And I'm like, they should just turn 18. Like, what the heck are you guys talking about? And you know what Tate put back? "She ain't ready." Like, and I'm like, she's never going to be ready for that. Like nobody's ready for that. Like, really, Tate? Really?
Really?
Like, what?
Doesn't Tate have basically the attitude of a spoiled 9-year-old boy?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Well, well, there's definitely some peacock syndrome there for sure, but I don't know. Like, I must admit, he infuriates me so much with the garbage that comes out of his mouth that I don't really try to invest that much time anymore in it. I just thought this part of it was like really funny. He's been, I do a show based on what goes on social media that's really bizarre and ridiculous and funny, and I make fun of it. And he's been on it quite a few times because and he actually was on my cancel culture show because they pulled him off of all the platforms. He didn't even have a YouTube channel, and they pulled down YouTube video, like anything he was on. Like they went after the channels that he actually paneled with and stuff. And in that instance, like I was like trying to draw the line there, like, come on, like he's contrarian and everything like that, but you're gonna hold the other people responsible for him. That's not right, like I didn't think that was fair at all. But they didn't pull him down for the things he was saying. They pulled him down for what they looked at his MLN and found it to be sketchy under FBI guidelines and a little iffy. And they said, like, well, you can't promote the MLN stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you can't promote the business end of this anymore because your business ain't flying right. so to speak. But everybody turned it into what he was saying, you know, and I found that fascinating. Like that's just fascinating that they did that. You know, instead of looking at what the legal issue was and why the terms of service were actually pulling him off platforms and stuff. It was more about the message. And so everybody like fired that up. Like, no, you like, what about free speech? Why can't you say, like, I'm like, oh boy, here we go.
Well, it's just playing the victim card. Because if you have an MLM, you're not supposed to do that. But if you're spouting garbage, you just claim that your garbage is the reason why they took you off. And now you're a victim rather than a fraud.
Well, you know, our illustrious Twitter leader now, Elon Musk, decided that he was coming back under the free speech guideline. So Cobra Tate has his Twitter back. Yes. Just to get arrested again. Just to get just to run afoul again. That didn't take long.
No, not long at all. He was back maybe what, at most 2 weeks? I think. I want to say 2 weeks.
Yeah, he's not been back that long. No, not, you know, no.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think he and what does he do? He messes up royally. It was really brilliant. It was good.
Jen gave us a new command from the bot. Oh my gosh. Okay, here you go, Jen. I'll put it in, Jen. There you go. Let's see.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jen. I'm dying over here.
Oh God. Wait.
Sorry.
Oh, can I read that? Or do you want to read it, Aimee?
No,
oh my
you
gosh.
go ahead, please.
I got bested and arrested by Greta's Andrew Tate for 2022. I got bested and arrested by Greta. Yes. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you, Jen. That's brilliant. That's perfect.
It's best.
I love it.
Oh gosh. So yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So that brings us to the next.
Yeah.
Elon
Are you
Musk
ready for us now? Yeah, Elon Musk. Yeah.
Yes. Speaking of Twitter, Elon Musk buys Twitter, and do you want to run with that one?
Do I want to run with that one? I don't.
I know.
Losing $10 billion a month.
Well, let's be fair. Twitter was losing money before Elon Musk. Why do you think Twitter wanted to sell? Okay. Why do you think that they were in negotiations for so long? And the only reason he finally bought Twitter and went through with the deal is because Twitter was going to sue the pants off of him anyway, and it would have cost him more to get out of the deal than to go into the deal. So I don't know.
Kind of had to.
No, I mean he was actually losing that kind of money before he decided to buy Twitter.
And then he decided to come on Twitter and insult everybody he possibly can, bring back the contrarians, cause all kinds of ruckus, and actually insult the advertisers that were paying to keep Twitter afloat.
I
threaten them,
know.
fire everybody, which I understand. Like if you're not doing your job, you know, clean house. I mean, that's not unusual for you to take over something in a business, and you know, you got to get rid of a bunch of people and stuff. And everybody's going to have sour grapes about that, and everybody's going to talk about, oh, that's not fair, this and that. But you know, hey, that's business. Like nobody. I'm not going to sit here and say like that stuff doesn't happen. It happens I'm here in America. It happens every damn day, every hour of every damn day that's going on. So that part of what was going on with Elon was kind of expected. Maybe not the way he did it in public on Twitter without people like, but he was using it to just, Twitter is based on trending, right? Isn't that the Twitter thing? So he was just keeping Twitter afloat. Then he's just now the content, basically.
Right.
You know?
Oh my gosh. And the bans that he does, and then he unbans some people who are really egregious because you know, freedom of speech, and then he bans others. He
petty bullshit.
Yes.
Well, he did show that he's got a pretty thin skin.
He did.
Like,
he did.
He was saying as long as it's parody, it's cool. As long as you're not making fun of him, apparently, because then everybody made parody accounts to make fun of him, and he got rid of them all, and then he ended up bringing them all back. Like, I mean, you know, if you're going to say something like that on Twitter, every sentence gets turned into a go. You could say the most benign thing, and like half of Twitter will come at you for it. Like if they
Oh
want.
God.
You know, if somebody finds it funny or twists it just the right way, you're a goner. You know,
Mhm.
but I guess he just didn't expect them to say it about him. You know, but
And then he put that
Exactly.
poll up saying, should I step down or take a more private role? And then lo and behold, almost 60% said yeah, and he
Mhm.
still hasn't done it.
All of social media wanted Mr. Beast to take over. Me and Mr. Beast were right there. Mr. Beast says, "Yeah, I'll do it. Like, you want me to? Yeah, I'll do it." And I'm like, "Yes, do it. Like this young man, he can do just about anything. Like, yes, do it. Like, do it. I'm sure you could do a better job."
Anybody could.
Mm.
Because my God, he's running it right into the dirt. I mean, and that whole Twitter blue thing was such a farce coming out. That was part of what went on with him being upset because people were making fun of him. They'd buy a blue check mark and change their name to his and start tweeting. So yeah, and he was banning people left and right for not mentioning that it was a parody, and then he, they had to revamp the whole check mark business and who gets verified and how, because all you had to do before was just subscribe to Twitter Blue and you got a blue check mark.
Right. And to make money, I can understand he may have to do something like that. What was once
Mhm.
free may have to be paid for. But
Right.
when he said, but we're gonna make it so that the bots and the trolls are more controlled. But the fact that you could pay for it now without a verification increased the trolls, because every troll had a check mark now. If you had $8,
Exactly.
you had a check mark. That didn't last very long. You pulled that down. Well,
Mhm.
it's how he rolled it out. You know, at
Yeah.
$20 for a verification a month, or at $8 a verification for a month, for you to have an actual PR account that's been verified that you are who you are,
Mhm.
for those kind of numbers, what's wrong with that? Right? What's wrong with that? We're all using Twitter as a way, or
Right.
at least I do. Some of us, we use it socially. If you have a YouTube channel, or you've got some kind of business, or you've got some kind of interest, even if it's a personal interest, it's for promotion.
Yes.
Twitter, a lot of people are using it for some type of promotion. So it's not unreasonable to want to pay for it, especially since he said he was losing so much money and he couldn't get more advertisers in there. When you want to get more verified accounts and more people willing to use it as an advertising vehicle. So it
Right.
makes sense, but it's how he rolled it out. Like a
Well, that's
lie.
it.
Like a big old lie, like why he was doing it that way and what it was gonna be. Like that,
Exactly.
yeah.
That was a big mistake, and I
Well,
don't think he thought that far ahead when he did
Mm-mm.
that.
well, he's desperate, right? Because he owes billions of dollars to the Saudis and they collect their money with bone saws.
Well, have you seen the pictures lately? They're the ones in negotiation for taking over Twitter. I've seen those pictures all over the internet lately.
Well, I mean,
Oh.
they want their money. If he can't deliver or manage it, then they're going to get it one way or the other, and he just better give it up at some point.
Well, that'll definitely be an interesting story for 2023 as we go into them looking further into the China connections with TikTok, and now they're going to be looking into the Saudis with Twitter, and I don't know who's running
Ooh.
Facebook or YouTube, but apparently it's not Americans, and the FCC's whatever organization we have here
Ooh.
that monitors that is going to have some issues. Like, wasn't there some kind
This
of
should be
scandal
interesting.
with China and actually getting information on TikTok accounts and trending and stuff like that?
There
From
was
Mhm.
there was from before, and it was
Mhm.
banned for a while from
Mhm.
app stores and everything, and nobody could get TikTok because of everything that goes on with it, and
Mhm.
it's a lot different from the other platforms. It's almost, I wouldn't even say it's like Twitter for videos, but it's kind of, because they're mostly short videos, so it's sort of like Twitter with,
Mhm.
with the character limit, but it's a very strange place.
It is
Very
very,
strange place.
very strange.
Oh, and interestingly, Zoom, you cannot use Zoom for official U.S. government business because it is owned by China, and just watch yourselves because
Yeah,
you could
and
run for office in 20 years and wind up having Zoom come back to haunt you.
yeah, and that's a problem because a lot of the court
Mhm.
systems in the United States use Zoom when the pandemic came. They almost all did.
Oh no, it's not.
Yeah, yeah.
And hey, MJ is right. Zoom is not secure
It's not secure, but they're using it in
at
the
all.
court system. Like, can you explain that to me?
I know. I wish they could.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because holy cow. Yeah, TikTok, where brains go to die. That is very true.
You
Yeah.
lose. You open TikTok. I don't know. We should put up a poll or no, but you open TikTok and you're guaranteed to lose like 20 minutes to 30 minutes of your life. Even though those shorts are only like a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes
Mhm.
max, it just keeps going. It's designed so it just keeps going. It keeps showing you one after the other. Like, and I'm like, what? Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not fond of it. I don't. I'm not
Yeah.
overly crazy over it. I don't like using it. I have it sort of
Mhm.
because every once in a
Mhm.
while, somebody will send me a link to a video, and that way I can just look at it, and then I just okay, I'm done with this. This is crap. This is,
Mhm.
I don't
although
have one yet.
yeah, you don't have one yet. No, I have looked because there are some flat earthers who are on there, and there was something. It was either this year or last year that they were targeting kids with flat earth
Mhm.
information, so we were looking into that. But other than
Yeah.
that, I don't use it. It's a weird platform. Instagram can be like that too if you're not careful. It can
Mhm.
be the same where it just keeps and you keep getting weirder and weirder stuff. So
Mhm. With the shorts, yeah, it seems like all the platforms that started shorts like that, or it's
exactly.
just the way they loop through. Well, yeah. Well, yeah. So Elon was definitely that's going to be an ongoing one for 2023.
Absolutely.
Mm.
I think so. I think that's going to continue. I think Andrew Tate is going to obviously because he just before New Year's.
Mhm.
So his story will probably continue well into 2023, maybe beyond. So that'll be interesting to see. The Twitter saga, I'm wondering if that's going to continue in what's going to happen in 2023, if
I don't.
anything's going to go on
Yeah.
there.
Without selling, I don't see how he's going to get his 44 back. Actually, ever. And with
Yeah.
I don't even think it's selling. He's going to get it back. To tell you the truth, because
I don't think so. He'll have to cut his losses on that.
no, especially after what he did, like since he took over.
Yeah.
And the advertisers don't want to advertise because it's not moderated. So that's the reason why Apple pulled the all its ads because they didn't want Apple products appearing along swastikas and all other sorts of garbage.
Exactly. And companies like that, you see, here's what they didn't put out there. Elon's like, oh, yeah, you want to pull off the platform, this and that. He's not telling everybody it's directly related what he did with getting rid of the moderators. That's in the advertising contracts. That's what they're paying for, a moderated platform.
Exactly.
It is as soon as you change
So
the
it's a
platform,
violation. Yeah.
it's a violation of their contract. Why would they? They know what they
Well,
want.
that's it.
They have to protect their product. They know what they're in for. Yeah, but they don't
They
tell
don't
you
want to
that
be
side.
associated with that
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
because
Yeah. They
yeah.
don't tell you. But Elon's not squawking that. He's just saying, "Oh, they just don't like me." Mm.
Well, can you blame him?
Well, that
It's
it
kind
might
of
be
rude.
that
Yeah.
might be true, Elon, but I seriously doubt the head executives of Apple got together and decided we don't like Elon, we're leaving. Like, I'm sure it was a business. I'm more comfortable saying these words. It was a business decision based on the fact that you took the moderators away and you changed the platform to not be what they signed up for. That could have been you or anybody. Like, they would have done the same thing.
Absolutely.
But I mean, whether they like you or not, like, we could run it. Why don't you run a Twitter poll, Elon, and find out? Like, that would be fun. Wouldn't that be something if Elon put a Twitter poll up? Do you guys actually like me or not? And they're like, damn, talk about a
Oh,
scandal.
you'd have his yeah. Oh, it's the
Twitter would
funniest thing if you
explode, wouldn't it?
No, the best
Yeah.
outcome would be nobody answers it. and it doesn't trend. Like nobody even pays attention to it. That would be the answer. Like 3 votes. It's it. Oh, gosh. I know that's a fantasy. That would never happen. But still,
I was thinking of taking one of his most annoying tweets and then just debunking it. You know, the straw man one about, you know, the vaccines and the, you know, the guy's got the needle sticking out and it says woke on there. You know, he's also tweeted Q stuff and a whole bunch of other garbage.
yeah,
He's an
and I'm
idiot.
not. Yeah, and I'm not so sure he believes it. I think he's totally just in you know, contrarian mode, like just trying to get topics out there that people are going to argue about. He seemed to believe that because Jack Dorsey was a Democrat, that Twitter was. And
Right.
so he decided that everybody out there now, a platform is based on the people who joined and the people who post. I don't think that they actually asked you if you're a Republican or a Democrat when you joined Twitter. They don't.
Oh
Okay.
God, no.
So, like, there's no control there by Jack Dorsey on who's on Twitter, except for if you do something against terms of service and he gets rid of you. But there was a lot of stuff out there that was violent, that they went against things for violence and they went against things for misinformation. And apparently Elon thinks that, you know, iVector and things like this and the misinformation at the time that was out there, that all needs to come back and be out there because he sees, you know, you have to have both sides of the coin.
And in 2021, I'll have to find the actual tweet from the original Twitter account. Twitter admitted that its algorithm favored conservative content, but that's only because the conspiracy theories and the anger and the hatred keep people engaged.
It is. And you know what? That Elon failed to report when he came out and said that Twitter was leftist and that we were actually banning Republican and under that administration, they were getting rid of all of the conservative and contrarian opinions against left politics, against Democrats, which wasn't true. Their own study that Elon has access to, because he owns Twitter, he wouldn't put it out. It had to come from outside services in, you know, behind the scenes, which several people got fired for, of course. But, you know, they did the study themselves and proved it was actually the opposite of what Elon is saying. Yes, a lot of content got deleted. Yes, it did. But you know, under different rules, under dangerous types, inciting of riot and all of this other stuff. I mean,
and then, you know, you got a few people who worked for the FBI or the CIA or the NSA, intelligence analysts. But you need people like that to basically take data that in and of itself is just a pile of stuff to track, you know, figure out how to tweak the algorithm so that the algorithm knows what to advertise to you or what people you might want, you know. Data analysts are important, you know, like, or I would hire a guy from cybersecurity from the FBI, or I would hire an intelligence analyst. These people weren't necessarily working for their old employers, but he fails to mention the usefulness of someone who handles large amounts of data and can make sense of it.
I'm glad you brought that up, because while he's saying that it was actually the government that was directing this, because they were people that used to work for the government that are actually part of the teams that were dealing with the algorithms and dealing with the individual tweets and then analyzing them, he fails to mention that they no longer work for the government and it wasn't actually the government instructing people to get rid of stuff.
Right.
But I digress. You see, like, it's just using the social media the way you want. And how many people don't go and check that out, Aimee? How many are just going to believe what they see? And
Exactly. And not check it out. And one of the huge things that gets my goat, anybody who knows me will know this, is you know, how they always say, if you ever notice when you talk about any of the issues on Twitter, like with the moderation and everything, how they claim it's a violation of their First Amendment rights. And that gets my goat every time because they are so wrong. It's not even funny. And they try to come back with these weak sauce arguments about how, well, it's censoring me, and well, sort of, but
Let's
no. But it's like, I'm sorry, but the first speech covers government only. The First Amendment covers government only,
Mhm.
not
yeah,
social media.
if you go to a mall, right, and you're wearing a vile, offensive, and racist shirt, the mall security has the right to kick your ass out. Now, the cops, even though it's uncool what you're wearing, the cops can't remove you from a public sidewalk.
Mhm.
Private property, media company, or mall, public property, sidewalk.
Mm-hmm.
And in the mall, it's because it's a contained area, and one of their main jobs is crowd control and to prevent problems. So they would do it for that, But it's a bigger thing. It's all that free speech thing could be a whole 10 shows in
Oh God.
2023. Like, that's like,
Yes.
well,
We
know,
should
and
do we should definitely do a show on the misinterpretation of the First Amendment.
yes,
I
on the amendments, yes. Yeah.
Oh God.
Claire, do you remember that video that I never put out explaining why the Texas social media law was stupid? I think that I'm gonna post it.
I think you should.
Yeah.
If it
Yeah,
addresses
I
the issue,
agree.
you should. Yeah, I think you should. But I guess we should move on to some of the other bigger things besides. We could stay on Twitter for
I know. Well,
ever.
most of the stuff we saw this year happened.
It happened
Big
on
ones.
Twitter.
Mm.
It did happen on Twitter. But
Exactly.
what do you think, Amy? You think we should do the top
Sure.
10? Are you ready for us to? Lost it. We put them to sleep.
I think so. I think we
I think
knocked him
so.
out.
I think we knocked them out. Well,
All right.
so we'll pick another one. But you know what? I'm gonna go look at it, and I'll tell you what the first one is, and then
Yes, and we
we'll
can
just
talk
talk,
about it.
and we could talk about that one first.
Sure.
You have it up too. Yeah.
I do too. So I
Yeah.
can yeah.
Yeah.
It's a visual
So
thing.
yeah, it is beautiful. Oh,
Perfect.
well, this one's gonna get everybody in the chat. We're gonna hear a big groan all over YouTube when we mention this one.
Yes.
Yes.
And
You wanna-
number one is blah, blah, blah. Inflation surges around the world.
No
And-
shit, Sherlock.
And no kidding.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Gee, I wonder why.
Exactly.
Oh, God.
Mhm.
Inflation has been unusually high in countries around the world in 2022. Price increases in the US peaked at more than 9.1% in June and at 11.1% in the UK in October. This has resulted in a cost of living crisis with many families, even in some of the world's wealthiest nations, being forced to choose between eating or heating this winter.
Hmm.
Which sucks. Yes.
Wow. That's like, and you know
Mhm.
what? And we saw that, like, if you were talking to people in chats and all over YouTube, in the middle of the year, the way the gas prices went, I think over in the UK, they were talking about it being like $10 a gallon. Like, if we translated it to US, that's a lot.
That's
Here
huge.
it went in some areas up to 5 almost. I mean, it's back
Yeah.
down now as
Mhm.
far, here in America, we go by gas prices a lot, and then we go by like regular commodities like milk, bread, eggs, and
Yes.
uh, fuel to run your car, heat your house, electrical services, water charges, basic utility things. They're all going through the roof. All of them.
Mhm.
All of them. Some
Everything.
I've talked to people from around the world, and some people haven't been able to get eggs. Some people have
Mm-mm.
had to pay 3 times as much for a gallon of milk than last year.
Mhm.
That's crazy. That's like, these are basics, like it's getting crazy.
Exactly. And that's one of the hardest things to come by too.
Mhm.
Sometimes if you go in the store, the milk supply is depleted. So you go in there, whole sections will be empty, gallons are gone. It's kind of weird, and it's very pricey. It's very expensive. It's been, it's just
Yep.
everything is expensive. And at one point this year, up here in Maine, gas prices were over $5 a gallon. And ours took a long time to come back down. For the longest time, we were still above 4 when everybody else was going back down around 3 and 2. So we were kind of stuck in this weird, like, we're not recovering as much as, the Northeast isn't recovering as much as the rest of the nation. And at one point we were almost as high as California, and it was like, oh. So yeah, it's been a weird, the way the price increases have gone around has been really weird, how they rolled out, and how we've all the different states have recovered from it has been really strange. Electric prices, not only gas, but of course a lot of the plants that supply the electricity run on natural gas. So of course natural gas goes up. What happens to the electricity prices? So even if you decide to switch from gas to electric heat, you're still paying for the gas increase. So because like my electric bill doubled this year. They're asking, the big electric companies in Maine are asking for increases again from the Maine Public Utilities Commission for next year. They want to increase them again. And it's just gotten to the point of ridiculousness. No one can keep up.
Wow. That it's just, and it seems to be in all the countries. I know I've heard in the UK, in Australia, in New Zealand, right, Mipet? In Australia, it's getting a little crazy. It's
it is. It's not quite as bad as you guys, but yeah, it's not great.
No.
When it first started, we got like 2 lots of $750 payments to help out, but the price of, like, the cost, the inflation has gone past what the cost of living has gone up, and what we've been given to, like living, wages, etc., have not gone up.
Correct.
So, it's like, it's getting a bit out of control, and it's like, there's been a lot of write-ups in papers and, newspapers and all that sort of thing, saying, how can people live on this sort of stuff? And it's the politicians, they live the high life. They don't give a shit, so where do you go from there? How do people live below the poverty line? They don't give a shit.
Yeah. That's what happened in the UK as far as electric or services that were going on. They have contracts there for the service providers, and they're allowed to increase by X amount. And something about coming up this year, it was going to go up 4 times what the normal rate was. Now there, for much of the people that are at a certain income level, similar to here in the United States, but more prominently there, they give a stipend back to help pay for this back and forth. But the stipend wasn't increasing at the same rate as what there was going to be. And many people were wondering how they were going to heat their homes or keep their lights on for a while. It was like a big thing. They were really, really worried about it, because it was like not like a percentage jump. We're talking like 4 times your normal bill. Who can manage that? Who's ready for that? Like, you'd have to be pretty much independent, like not worry about your income at all to manage that kind of an increase, like
4 times.
Because of my fire, guys, you remember when I had the fire at the beginning of the year in February? Yeah. I got a bill sent to me just recently. So, well, it was a letter and a disconnection notice, actually. And I rang and I said, why have I got a disconnection notice? Because you've only been able to guesstimate my amounts. Oh, well, the meter reader couldn't read the meter. And I'm like, oh, of course he can't, because there's no fucking meter there to read, you know? And they're like, well, you know, and I'm like, yeah, I rang you because there was a fire. Then they found asbestos. So it's now, you know, under, I don't know whether they're redoing it out or what the fuck ever. And, you know, I want to know how the fuck you guesstimated this amount of money, because there's no freaking way I've ever had a bill this big before. So you either owe me some money or, you know, what the fuck's going on? So,
No
it's like,
kidding.
yeah. It's like, oh, well, we just guesstimated. Well, fuck your guesstimate. I'll guesstimate
stink
you.
at it.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, for fuck's sake. So yeah, just recently had and it's like, yeah, no, I'm not, no. So yeah.
Absolutely not. That's just ridiculous. And
Yeah.
they do that sometimes if they don't want to read the meter. They quote unquote guesstimate, and they're allowed to do that. And every time they do it, they always increase it.
Yeah, well,
I've noticed that too.
I sent them a photo of all the wires that say, do not touch live wire. Do not touch live wire. I'm like, there you go. There's the meter that you read.
Nice. Oh my God.
No,
It's insanity.
Well, I'm wondering, Dick, has it gone up in Canada at all? The same as here?
Well, I live in a spot where we have like total hydroelectric power, so my rates haven't changed at all.
Well, that's good though.
Yeah,
good.
we're
That's
very
excellent.
lucky in British Columbia because, you know, we're not dependent on, you know, importing things and blah blah for power. It's just coming out of the dams, right? So but we've got real issues with like children's meds, like kids Tylenol and stuff being in short supply. It's crazy.
Yeah, so some things still going crazy. But that's a lesson in hydro. That's a lesson right there in stabilization of the market, is by adding other technologies to the grid that can benefit the supply, you know, the need and give supplies. That's an answer right there. But Aaron also had the quickest, like, I agree with Aaron Reese in his comment in the chat that one of the fastest ways to stabilize things in the United States would be proper taxation of those that have it, not overly taxed, but like, how about just paying the same rate we do?
Exactly.
I don't understand why Aimee and I had to pay this amount and you guys get to pay 1% and we got to pay 20. Like, when we actually need our money to pay our bills.
I don't.
You know, like that 20% ain't even going to be anything off your nose. Like, this doesn't make any sense to me. But proper taxation accurately, you know, making the demands of the country a real need in the taxation tables instead of just keeping the companies here. So
I really don't understand why I paid more in taxes than a fucking billionaire. And we all know who we're talking about.
Well, which one? The one that runs Amazon or the one that's just a crook anyway? Like, what? Which one? Which one are we talking about?
Well, probably I paid more than all of them unless they're honest. But probably paid more in taxes than all of them then. You know, they're really complaining about all these $80,000 IRS agents, and they're trying to scare the little people. Get this. The reason why most of the people who are audited are working class is because they haven't had the manpower. If you want to audit a millionaire or a billionaire, you need manpower to do it. So that's why they hired all those IRS agents. For like someone who makes six figures and has a lot of assets, probably need about 20 people to audit in a reasonable time.
Exactly. And it is going to take a while, and it is going to run a long time. And Joe Whip had a good comment. My cat paid as much tax as Trump.
Yes, because well, we know the crook, he didn't pay anything. Like they're looking at that. They can find so many things. I mean, a lay person can look at those taxes and see what the problems are going to be. Like I can't believe they thought some of this was going to
Well,
go through.
that's
But
and that's what we were looking at it. I'm a layperson too, and I looked at that and thought, this is disgusting.
mhm,
Look at all the loopholes that they can take advantage of,
mhm.
and all of this happy horse poop, and they they pay less in taxes than the middle class.
Mm.
That's and the lower middle class at that. I'm not just talking about
In
people
the
who make
late
yeah.
in the late 1950s, my grandfather had to give $30,000 to the federal government. But being that he came from a place where he had nothing and people wanted to kill him, my mom said she didn't hear any complaints where in the late 50s he had to write a check for 30 grand.
Wow.
Wow.
Exactly. That's just insanity. Shall we go to the next topic?
I think we kind of covered briefly the next number 2. Yeah.
I
What's it coming
think
up?
so. That one is number 2. Oh, we might have talked about it before, but number 2, before I read number 2, I'm going to put out a disclaimer that for number 2, we are not spreading misinformation. This is actually actual news that we're talking about. If there is any misinformation at all, we will be debunking it. This is not misinformation. I repeat, YouTube.
Mhm.
There we go. Okay, now we can talk about number 2. The Omicron coronavirus variant spreads. The highly transmissible Omicron variant of C19 spread around the world this year. 2 Omicron cousins have also recently been named by the UK Health Security Agency as the virus continues to mutate. So it's still spreading about because we talked about this earlier. Cover your mouth and nose when you sneeze, please. That's some other thing. Sorry. So, anybody else?
Well, I'll just state, just to hope it's not like it's been, and that we'll see even less in 2023 than we did in 2022.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's true too.
Everyone get your vaccine and get your vaccine while you're not sick. And
Mhm.
even though and I'm just stating a generalization, viruses tend over time to become less lethal and more contagious. But you never know when it's going to want to become a little bit more lethal and then, evolve back towards less. So take care.
Yeah.
There we go. All right. So that one's easy. Number 3 is a huge obvious. We've been covering this on this channel since it began, and we've also been talking to a very lovely person, and sometimes he gets to bring along a friend who is extremely awesome to talk about what's happening on the ground. We have number 3 as Russia invades Ukraine. Russia invaded Ukraine on the 24th of February, leading to global crises for both food and energy, which all ties back into what we just discussed about the cost of living crises,
Mhm.
etc., and as well as displacing millions of people.
Mhm. And
So,
unfortunately, that's going to be ongoing. We didn't,
yes,
that's going to be ongoing for a while. So I'm sure we're going to have the great show here with Starsky. Starsky is such a voice out there right now in getting a hands-on look at what, boots on the ground, so to speak, look at really what's happening right from the country. Really,
exactly.
really great. Really happy to be part of that show. Dick, with you guys are doing great work there on
It's
getting
an
it out,
Thanks.
So that's just, unfortunately, we don't have much good to say about that. Like there's
right.
not good. I can't even say, okay, it looks like things are going to wrap up or whatever. We just hope that, um, they have a lot of support from everywhere, but is it enough? We want to get them all the support that we can because, that is their country. We want them to have it back. We want them to have the means to rebuild it the way it needs to be from the damage that's being done. And just seems like they're fighting no matter what. There's no give in. There's no compromise here. It's like Russia's going to have to leave. So,
Yep. Exactly. But
um,
one good thing is we did get to meet Anna, and we got to meet all of the wonderful people.
oh yeah, and Janine and
And
quite a few
Janine,
others.
absolutely. Operator Starsky. We got to meet a whole bunch of wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people from it. And hopefully we'll be able to maintain those relationships
Mhm.
And
during
then you
peacetime, which
guys-
would be
and then
exactly
you guys in the chat are just awesome.
Right.
That
absolutely.
we've met some great new people in the chat that just yeah.
Yes, that have stayed with us to hear more and more about it and are so supportive when Starsky is here, in great
Yeah.
comments, great questions, you know, and just giving him the support and letting the Ukrainian people know that they're not alone. Amazing, amazing people. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's been brilliant.
mhm.
So at least, and we have really good information about what's been going on, so we know where to go, what to follow to get the information. And that's always been brilliant too. So thank you everybody as well.
Yeah. I
So-
do. So that's the silver lining is
Exactly.
Mm.
Exactly. Okay, should we go on
Right.
to number 4?
Yes, it's like they're all depressing, and I haven't heard
They
a
are.
happy one yet. Let's go. This
Mm-mm.
one is it. We're going to only touch
This
on
one,
very
yes.
little. This is little. Yeah.
This one we might get called names for. We have before. That's been fun.
That's because they don't listen. We
Exactly.
actually we're giving some positive feedback on it and understanding. Never mind. Like,
I know.
you know what I mean. Yeah.
I do. Number 4 is the U.S. Supreme Court overturns abortion rights. In a controversial ruling on the 24th of June, the U.S. Supreme Court revoked women's constitutional right to abortion, restoring the ability of individual states to determine a woman's reproductive rights.
Yeah. Can I clarify that before they
Yes,
all go
please.
crazy? Okay.
Yes, please.
They didn't say that you can't have one.
Correct.
They said the Constitution didn't give women equal rights under the Constitution. It's not in there. So we don't have the
Right.
same right to life and liberty as y'all. So because it's not in
Right.
there, and they based Roe versus Wade on an insurance in privacy issue, a medical issue, they decided to put it back down to the states to handle locally, where the people could speak on it, which is part of our government process. So it was a bad thing. It is.
Mhm.
I'm not going to sit here and say it's a good thing, because it is a step backwards.
It is.
But it is probably the step we should have took in the first place, to be honest, because
Or
it would have been a
honestly-
more solid legislation coming forward federally to protect us all.
I think so. If this ruling hadn't have happened in the first place, I think the ERA would have had far more teeth, and I think that would have pushed people harder to push for that when that was going through, and I think we would have probably seen better progress on that amendment that was trying to get through but never did. So
Equal
I'm
Rights
thinking,
Amendment.
correct. That's
Mhm.
correct.
But giving a person the right to body autonomy and the ability to make their own choice does not mean you're telling them that they should do something. Okay.
Correct.
So, like, this is where I draw the line with these people saying that because we're supportive of everybody having the right to choose, that we are like, they use all kinds of foul language for us about it, and that we have no respect for life and this, that, and the other. That's not the issue. That is not the issue. I don't even look at that part of it. Y'all look at that
Mhm.
part of it as your belief or whatever. But belief isn't legal. Belief isn't a right. And belief almost always violates a non-believer or someone who doesn't believe you the same's rights. And that's what you're saying. is
Exactly.
That you want to take away the rights from other people to uphold your own. That's not how this country works, period. I
It's
don't
not
care
how it's
where you come.
supposed to.
I don't care what side of the argument you're coming from on this one. That's not how this country works. We're supposed to have, all of us are supposed to have the same rights. And I just want body autonomy. I just want
Exactly. Like everybody
medically
else has.
medically available procedures that are not putting anybody else in danger to be my right and not anybody else. It's not going to say I'll do it or not, but you don't have the
Mhm.
right to say that it can't be done. Okay.
Exactly.
Ectopic pregnancies, babies without craniums, and a whole bunch of other things. Just consider that not every abortion is, you know, you
One
have to
of
make a
convenience.
choice. One
Yeah.
of convenience, yes.
Mhm. Right.
Could be saving the mother's life and the baby's going to die
Mhm.
anyway.
If you look at the percentages, the majority of them are not. Okay. So
Right.
you look at the percentages, like they like to use those like over 20-week ones and all, the amount of percentages of when that happens, even medically. I mean, they're only done medically. They're not done for any other reason but medically, because it's not, nowhere was it ever commonplace to do that. In
Correct.
any of the states, everybody drew the line. Medical professionals themselves drew the line at certain weeks. Like there was
Yeah.
common sense in regards to this process, but I'm just saying, like, putting it back to the states wasn't necessarily a bad thing. It might have been the first state, and it has been a little dicey, but there are plenty
Yeah.
of states that we thought would go the other way that are actually using common sense and letting the people and listening to the people. Because
Exactly.
in regards to SCOTUS's ruling, they went against 70% of the population of this country in that ruling. So that's why
Yeah,
they're
they
putting
did.
it down to the states. They know it's an issue, and they want the states to, each state, come to that on their own by voting democratically, as we should.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
a big chunk did, and like mine and New York were safe havens. So if
Mhm.
you come and have an abortion here or in places like New York, I'm not sure of the others, and I'm just going off the top of my head right now, just the two that I stand out in my mind. There are others, I'm sure. But if you come to our state, they're not, if someone questions the state about anybody who had an abortion here, they're not going to give that information, and they're going to base that on the HIPAA laws.
There are
So
laws that protect them, and no matter what
exactly.
laws they write after that, they can't interfere with other states. That's the beauty of having
Correct.
it at the state. A state can decide that, no, I don't have to
Or safe
cooperate with
havens.
you, Texas or Arkansas or whoever you are. We don't have to give you
Absolutely.
that information because our law says we don't. And state trumps federal when it comes to individual issues like this. So there is some federal
Absolutely.
protection. There is a federal guideline that says they want to make it available to all who want it up to a certain period of time. That is the
Mhm.
federal guideline that they did come through. Biden did come through with that, but it doesn't make that each state has to do that. They get to decide on their own, and we'll see what they do with it. But
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I've never had to have one. I've never had the need for an abortion, but my concern, and of course now I'm getting to a point where I won't ever need one again, but my concern and my care is about other women,
mhm. It
about us all, because
all
it does
yeah.
affect us all, because it's also a slippery slope. There are, and there was an alarming comment in after the ruling
Mhm.
that uh, Justice Thomas had said about wanting to go after contraceptives next, and that's
Mhm.
also that's concerning,
It is.
because if you don't want people to have abortions, what are you doing banning,
Mhm.
wanting to go after contraception next?
It's another.
Religious fun.
Go
I'm
on. I'm
sorry.
sorry. No, go ahead.
Religious fundamentalism. Now, I'm not bashing religion. I'm just saying that the state of Texas has $10,000, right, for
Mhm.
anyone who will stop an abortion, but they have not increased the amount of money that foster parents who take kids whose parents have been deemed unfit, they haven't increased the amount of money those kids get to be fed
True.
in more than almost a decade.
Mhm. I would really like them to actually look, those politicians in that particular state, at the unfed children, at the homeless children, at the ones that need to be placed properly and cared for. Those percentages are much higher than the abortion rate. They'll
Exactly.
put your money where it needs to be, and not in this ridiculousness. They don't care about, once you're born, you're on your own. Like, it's just very convenient, you know. They are also, the SCOTUS has its own issues besides this. They, like you said, they're going after
Exactly.
Thomas made
They're not
quite a
as-
few comments that were just like way out there to say that belief was going to be something that was coming into politics and actually legally in the
Scary.
court, in the Supreme Court. A belief was
Mhm.
going to be actually something they were going to decide on now. And that didn't go very popular for the Supreme Court. They got bashed everywhere about it. And some of that has come up. If you look at the actual Supreme Court agenda now, a lot of that came off. And rightly so, because
Yeah.
they saw the writing on the wall. They were going to be, there is a way to get rid of the Supreme Court. You do realize that, right? Like the people do have some power. And I was investigating. I mean, I was looking at how do you yeet people from the Supreme Court? One of the number one ways is that they don't actually use legal precedent to make their decisions. They show bias, and how
Well-
anybody could see that the comments coming out of Thomas's mouth for 3 months weren't biased. I don't know. Where was the legal precedent on any of that? I
Well,
don't know.
that's
Yeah.
that's exactly it. And Jay Johnson has the perfect comment for that too. The justices shouldn't want to go after anything. They are supposed to be impartial. And
Exactly.
going off a belief like that is not impartiality. I'm sorry, but it's not.
Yeah, Jay Johnson understands the process. We're supposed to toss it to-
Absolutely, Jay.
We're supposed the people and those that are complaining, the legal cases are supposed to be tossed to the Supreme Court. They're not supposed to be out there digging for them. You got to
Mhm.
wait for it to come to you, and then you get to decide whether you're weighing in or not. That's the process. You don't go looking for it. Yeah. But he was
Exactly.
actually inviting people to toss those cases up. That was an open call.
It
for
was
people. Yeah, that was an open call. It was very blatant. Everybody saw it for what it was.
hugely
But
blatant,
Yeah.
and some of the alarming things that his wife has said, and
Mhm.
that can influence him as
Mhm.
well, and that's really
Oh, and
really
he
concerning.
wanted to go into marriage equality, did he? He did.
Oops.
Mhm. He did. Oops. Okay, but
Oh dear.
but anyway,
Well,
I'm sure we've got a lot to cover, a lot more to go forward with. Yeah, we
the
could. That's
abortion.
another show. I think we just planned 5 shows in the last hour, so we'll go like Aimee for the future. It'll be good.
Exactly. We have so many things to cover. We have so many things
Mhm.
to go over. Yeah. So should we go on to the next step?
Please.
Okay, let me get back down there again. La la la. Okay.
I-
Number 5, whole new topic. But it
big-
affects everyone again, and it all ties in together. Number 5 is record-breaking heat waves. Climate change has led to many record-breaking temperatures around the world, from runways melting to devastating wildfires. No country was safe from the extreme levels of heat experienced this
Mhm.
year.
Yeah. This.
I remember Dick was saying that it was hotter where he was in British Columbia than in Death Valley earlier this year.
Yep.
Yeah, we hit 43C, 44C, I think was the top. But it was just unbelievable. And I'm in British Columbia. Like,
Exactly. You're
Yep.
further north than I am.
And that problem, which was everywhere, all over the world, everyone was reporting on that, especially like seasonal weather like we have in the United States, Amy.
Mhm.
Our winters were busted up with hot days in between.
It was weird.
Like it's like 10 degrees on Tuesday, and Thursday it's 60, like a spring day. And I'm like, it's December. Like, what's going on here? Like, this is weird. But it's
Very weird.
to be very unstable. Like, that's why things are getting hotter in places that don't normally have this kind of heat. And then the place, it's just getting really crazy, which is leading to 6 and 7, which was the droughts around the world, right?
Yeah.
That
Exactly. Well, my friend, before we move on to the droughts for the heat waves, had had 40-degree temperatures in the
Wow.
Midlands in the UK.
Whoa,
40 degrees.
that's unusual. That's very
That's
unusual.
highly unusual, and it lasted for a while. I was like, "Oh my god."
Mhm.
So, that's just
Yeah,
freaky. So it brings us to number 6, which is also, we're going to stay on this topic, which is a good topic, I think. 6, droughts around the world because of all the heat. This summer produced Europe's worst drought in 500 years, with 2/3 of the continent experiencing some sort of extreme heat warning. In China, factories were forced to shut down in August due to decreased water levels around the Yangtze River basin, which curbed electricity generation at hydro power plants.
Mhm. And this we saw this with all the uncovering of all kinds of stones and artifacts, and we saw it all over social media. Here in the United States, we saw the draining of Lake Mead, where they discovered more cars and bodies and all kinds of things. And
Exactly.
it was everywhere on social media about that. In Europe, like in a lot of places of Europe, they don't even have air conditioning like we commonly have here in the United States, because they've not had to use it. Like,
They don't need
it
it.
doesn't get it gets like a balmy a little bit, but not like we get in the hundreds or so, occasionally for
No.
summers. And so I had many of my friends complaining about not having an air conditioner and the fans just not doing it, and like,
They couldn't
you know,
keep up.
yeah, and we're giving them suggestions about, the bowl of ice in front of the fan, just like in the cartoons.
Just, yeah.
It does work.
And drink water. Drink lots of water. I
Drink
kept
lots
saying.
of water. And they're like, I hate you,
Stay
Americans.
hydrated.
You make it
Shut
sound
up,
like it's so
Aimee.
easy. Yeah, like
Yeah.
they're like, yeah, damn Americans, be quiet.
And let's not forget, the hotter it gets, the more likely you have dead patches in the ocean.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's very
Mhm.
true.
I don't have air conditioning.
Oh my God! Wait a minute. In Australia,
And
like,
you hit 40 degrees regularly.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the hottest places I've ever heard of. Actually, like, I had a friend send me a picture of a flip flop that they walked on the road, where the tar of the road were actually melted all over the bottom of their flip flop, and I didn't believe them, so they sent me pictures.
Yeah.
That's why they have to. You don't go barefoot in Australia in the summer, because stuff
Jesus,
melts.
no.
Because things melt all over you, and you don't wear your flip flops into the house. Everybody puts them outside because the road is on the bottom of your shoes. Seriously,
Good God.
it was
Yeah,
hot.
that's why dirt roads are good.
Oh,
'Cause you can
Absolutely, they are.
Yeah, if you're wearing bare, if you're wearing bare
Less
feet,
maintenance.
if you
as
have
long
bare,
as it's not
you're
windy.
okay to walk on.
Yeah, as long as it's not windy, because it's dry, right? But whoa, you don't have air conditioning, so that's like, you guys are tough.
No, I just have fans. As long as the air's moving, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Okay.
heat doesn't bother me. It can be
Wow.
as hot as it like. Yeah.
No, but it's still summer there, right? So what's your average temperature in Australia?
Well, we've had the coldest summer on record.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm.
Like today is struggling to get to 30 at the moment, but a couple of at the end of last week we hit 40 for one day, and then it went back down to like 20. So
Wow.
we lost 20 degrees overnight.
Wow.
It
You know,
was weird.
And they'll use that to say, that it's not happening, that the stability is not happening. But you'll find your winter is colder, and then like just the instability and what you normally see in your country that's going on, and that's what they're talking about with the everything heating up, that everything's shifting and changing because of the imbalance. Yeah.
How often do I complain about how fucking cold it is? This is not normal. Yeah, I can tell you the cold is not normal, and I'm still waiting for summer. And it's, you blink and you missed it. It's,
It's weird.
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, it was weird. We had some strange weather. We had a thunderstorm up here last week. I'm sitting here and I'm just relaxing and, looking at my kitty cats, getting ready to post on YouTube. And I hear this rumbling sound. I was like, what the hell is that? And I'm looking at, it's like December 20 something. And I'm just thinking about that. And it's a thunderstorm. I look outside and got blinded. I was like, oh, whoa, okay. In December. For Maine, that's unusual. Yes, we get thunder snow every once in a while. Jim Cantori will love us, but but nothing. But no, this was a regular, true run-of-the-mill thunderstorm with the rain and everything, and it was. And then afterwards, the temperature dropped like 20 degrees. it was crazy. We've had some very strange weather, and we're having it now too, in well into January. We
Right.
have one day that's going to be 13 degrees Celsius, and it's going to rain again, and then it's going to go right back down to -9, and it's messed up.
Yeah.
Supposedly, I like consistent and gradual, not this yucky stuff of being like really warm one day and then bitter cold the next. That's just too much for me.
Right.
And that's what we're getting at our extremes where we never really had them before.
Exactly. And it increases in the type of strong storms that we have. Storms are stronger, more volatile, more frequent. The kind of storms that we're having, yeah, we could see it everywhere in every country. You know, it's just it's like an unstable it's just unstable at that point. That's what they're reporting, is that the changes that are happening are making small changes everywhere that are leading to bigger, more damaging things. And it's climate change that's actually doing it. And it's not just that things are getting hotter in certain areas. You know,
Right.
it's like
It's
some areas are getting colder. Some areas are,
Mhm.
experiencing, more winds than usual, or like Tornado Alley it's got more tornadoes, and
Yeah, I was going to say
absolutely.
that's the
hurricanes on
big
it.
one. Yeah, the
Yep.
big one's the wind, because
Mhm.
where
Yeah.
I am, it just blows straight off Antarctica.
Mhm.
So, and it's been the wind, it's like gale force winds. And it's just like
Yikes.
Mhm.
the shit flies around my backyard, I can hear it. I don't go out there, but
Mhm.
just
Right.
things fly. I can hear corrugated iron flying around the backyard. I'd probably get decapitated if I went out there.
You
But
would.
it's,
You would.
yeah, it's like it's been really high winds this year. Have you
Mhm.
guys had really high winds?
We had one windstorm up here that
Mhm.
that of course knocked out power like 8 times.
Yeah.
Hey.
Here, yeah, on the coast it's been bad too. Both.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
that's where we
I'd
are. And
I'd say the
not
winds
good.
increase with the regular storms that we normally get. The winds are getting stronger.
Mhm.
It's not like
Mhm.
here on the shore, we get hurricane warnings, but they're not like during hurricane season, we'll get a hurricane one, like level 1, level 2, not so bad. But
Right.
they've been 4 and 5s more frequently than not. And that's not a good thing. And
No.
then our windstorms, just regular thunderstorms, it's not unusual now for the winds to go from 50 to 60 miles an hour just in the middle of a storm, which doesn't make me very happy.
Exactly.
I don't like that wind stuff. I'm not used to it at all.
Me either.
Yeah. So
Well, that's
Well,
what's been happening here too. It's been so, during the storms themselves, it's been really windy, and like just a few miles offshore from where I am, you get hurricane strength wind warnings is what they call them, and I had never seen
yeah.
them before outside of a hurricane, and so seeing that is not good, and they're just a few miles offshore.
Yeah,
mhm,
we actually had a hailstorm I think it was in November, and
mhm,
we just don't
Holy
get
cow.
hailstorms, and it looked like snow.
mhm.
And I mean, we just don't get that sort of shit in Adelaide. Do you know what I mean? It's
Right.
like, what?
Right.
I went out my front door and it's like, it really looked like it had snowed. There's all this white bloody hail. And I'm thinking, geez, I hope my car's not getting banged.
Mhm,
But
Right.
it's like this sort of stuff does not happen in Adelaide.
mhm,
It just
Mm-mm.
doesn't.
mhm.
So, yeah, this is Mother Nature going, fuck you lot.
Yeah, it is, and it's just like it's the instability of it. Like just recently,
Yeah.
this big ice freeze storm we had on the East Coast here, the
Mhm.
United States, it came over almost most of our country. Actually, it came all the way
Yes.
across, and it happened really fast. And the temperature went up where you thought it was over, and then it dropped right back down again suddenly. So there was ice
It's
and freezing,
weird.
like well below zero temperatures and winds to places that weren't really like that do get cold, but that cold, like
Not
that
that
fast,
cold.
it was how fast the temperatures dropped and how that it was. And then it got warmer and then it got cold again, which is never a
Yes.
good thing. And here on
Yeah.
the East Coast, it happened so fast that, like, while I've got 50-degree weather here and I'm like central, I'm in the armpit of the United States. I'm in New Jersey, okay, and up in New York, in Buffalo, which is only like it's less than 6 hours away from me. So
Mhm.
really, that's like not that many in miles or time. Okay,
Mm-mm.
right within the same time that I've got 50-degree weather here, there's 25 people freezing to death in Buffalo, New York. They did die.
With
That's
feet
how fast. Yeah.
of
Mhm.
snow.
Mhm.
Feet of
Feet
snow.
of it.
I
That-
And
was
it was
there.
this.
It was about 4 feet. I drove through there. It was about four recently. It was about 3 to 4 feet on the side of the roads. They had plowed the roads really damn good, but I was amazed.
Mm.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah, and it was the same here. It was like 50 degrees here Fahrenheit, and it was and we're almost on the same latitude as Buffalo, New York, and they're getting feet of snow, and it's really cold. I mean, bitterly cold there. So you can tell the influences of the air mass are in effect. It's incredible to me. It's just so yeah, it's it's amazing.
The temperature, not the last Starsky stream, but the Starsky stream before that, when I went to work in the morning, the temperature was actually below zero where I was.
Wow.
Mm.
That's below zero
massively.
Fahrenheit, not
Yes.
Celsius.
Right. So it'd be like minus 17.7 for those who look at Celsius. So yeah, it's incredible. So the next topic goes along the same lines. I mean, we were just discussing that about, these weird storms. Flooding in Pakistan. Flooding in Pakistan from June to August killed more than 1,391 people and caused an estimated $30 billion US in damage as houses, crops, and key infrastructure were swept away.
Right. And that is just one of the hugest ones that happened. But yeah,
Absolutely.
because this happened like frequently in other areas, smaller, but they're not listing it because like there wasn't as big as amount of damage, nor the number of deaths, which is tragic. Like that fast, it's just
It's
a lot.
awful.
Yeah, and
It's just yeah.
yeah, and yeah, all in they're saying that also is related to climate change, like which I don't understand the science of it, of why they're saying it is all related, and I'm not gonna pretend that I do, but that might be an interesting topic at some time that we can find some experts. Well, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to
Yeah.
say both South
Yeah.
Africa and Australia got hit with floods of
Mhm.
various sizes both this year, or last year, I should say.
Between the droughts that happened in many of the continents, they also, on the opposite end of that, had flooding to compensate
Yeah.
on it afterwards, because once everything dried all out, the earth can't hold the water coming back in as well, and then the water comes down so fast and violent that it's just mudslides and water and flooding and just more catastrophe on top of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like a vicious cycle from what I understand. But yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But
Yes.
okay, so Aimee, I know
Mhm.
Dick, I'm gonna jump. You don't have to really follow me with pictures, but I'm gonna skip 8 and just say that 9 and 10 right now are related kind of to climate change, especially number 10, which is
Yes.
the United Nations climate change. They lost and damage fund for vulnerable countries. They started a whole big promo here. For this, and they're saying that the fund agreed at the COP27 summit that they will support poor countries that are being heavily impacted by climate change despite their historically low emissions. It will cover the cost of any climate related damage, and these countries cannot avoid or adapt to. In other words, they're not going to penalize places like Pakistan and things that aren't able to come up with the standards that they put out there for emissions and all in order to get help. Like they used to have it, like, if you follow these guidelines and you work with us to help on this problem, even though it's really financially burdensome for the country to do so, they were like keeping them out of it. They weren't allowed to apply for help. They really kind of ignored the issues that were going on there. And they're going to stop doing that. They're going to actually help everybody and treat it like, what we can do, because maybe helping them will help get them on board to do things better to keep it from happening, and hope, that's a good thing. World population, Aimee, is 8 billion.
I know. That was incredible.
The world reached its first landmark of 1 billion people in 1803. Over 200 years later, on November 15th of 2022, the world surpassed 8 billion people.
Wow. That's incredible.
Wow, that is.
Yeah.
That is.
Now
that
all
is
the idiots
billion.
are going to start saying, see, COVID was to thin out the population.
Mm,
But
yeah.
Yeah, it didn't work.
If
Turn
it actually,
everyone
work
into
at all.
5G towers.
yeah, I don't know. If it actually worked, we would be hearing that a little bit less from those people. It'd be less of those people.
Exactly.
Wasn't it those people that weren't wearing the masks and the, thought it was a good thing? Well, they're still here. Yeah, they're still here. So I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. But that population thing, when I see 8 billion, I don't know about you guys, but I guess it's just because what I've been reading and everything out there. That means $1 for every single person in the world that Sam Bankman-Fried may have absconded money from.
Oh my God.
There you go. There you go.
There you go.
Because he apparently misappropriated $8 billion between Alameda and FTX. And it's a complicated thing. It's all about Bitcoin, cryptocurrency and stuff like that. But one of those, what imaginary whatevers they are, for every single person on the planet. Just think of it. It's cool. Just like, oh my God. My God. Aimee, number 8 is all you, love.
Oh, thank you very much. Number 8, Queen Elizabeth II passes away. Queen Elizabeth II died at Balmoral Castle in Scotland on the 8th of September and was succeeded by her eldest son, King Charles III. She died at 96 years of age after 70 years on the throne, making her the world's second longest ever reigning monarch. So that, kind of was like the end of an era with her. It was when all that happened back in September. Of course, everybody is going to pass away eventually, but sometimes it's just one of those things you're not expecting it right at that exact moment.
We got any pictures of her fixing Jeeps in World War II?
I wish we did right on hand. She was incredible. She,
We
She
did
was
show
one
those.
amazing. Yeah, she
Yeah.
was amazing.
We
She
did show
was.
those in one of the other shows. I believe we did, like a few months ago. We were talking about her, weren't we? And the Queen came up. Maybe it was right after she passed, when she first passed, and
I
there
think
was pictures
so.
shown. But she did. She worked on those engines herself, and she never let anybody drive for her. She drove. She drove.
She drove.
Yeah.
I think that's why I liked her so much, because she, I was always into cars when I was growing up. I was always out in the garage with my father working on things, and I used to change my oil right up until I got pregnant. Then of course I couldn't fit anywhere when I was pregnant. So that kind of put a clincher on things. And then after I had Matt, I was taking care of him. So, and I was always doing the maintenance on the cars and things like that. And that was when I drove older ones that aren't so electronic now. That's a problem. But I think that's why I gravitated to her so much. She was, and plus she was such a grandmotherly figure, and it was always just a solid, steady personality that was always in, always there. You know what I mean? And so I think that's why I gravitated towards her so much. So I was, and plus Grammy, when I was growing up, always had her portrait of the Queen right next to the portrait of the Pope. So it was like, and she was still Canadian. Yeah, so it was one of those things. It's like, I grew up around, at least seeing a portrait of her, or hearing something about her, or learning about what she did during World War II, which was pretty impressive, especially for the times, and that, like, what we've talked about before.
Well, she was the only queen to serve. Like, she did serve.
Yes, she
in her
was.
time in her 70 years on the throne. There were quite a few things that she was the first, like, to do, because
She was.
before she became so matronly and like grandmotherly that we all grew up seeing, she was quite a strong-willed young woman. Don't forget.
Yes, she was.
She had to take over for her father, who became, like, this was all sudden. She was not prepared. And in the country at that time, if I remember, was not exactly smooth sailing. There was a lot going on between, like, the monarchy and what they call their government there. Parliament is what they call it, whatever, And, there was a lot going back and forth. There was stuff with the king's brother. There, you name it. Okay, anyone who knows histories knows what I'm talking about. So she had to step into a volatile situation where a woman wasn't necessarily going to be recognized as being able to handle it, although it was her right and her duty to do so.
Exactly. Plus overseeing, the empire becoming the Commonwealth, and not being the queen of certain countries. And thank you so much. There she is. That's her working on her truck.
Awesome.
And it's just, yes.
Awesome.
And I think that's why I loved her so much. She was tough, and she was an amazing person. She was someone to look up to just for that alone. She served her country, and she said she would for her whole life. She made that promise, and she did.
And her relationship with Churchill, in learning how things worked and how things were going to change, and what should or should not be. But she always took very seriously her responsibilities to the people. When you look at all of the programs that she started and all of the things that she has the whole royal family involved in and doing, it was definitely to give back to the people. She understood, what it meant to be head of the, like, she's the queen of the whole thing. Okay, and there's many different kinds of people, and there's many different things that you have to do. But I never looked at her as someone who didn't understand. I think she did. A lot of people think she kept herself separate, but I don't. I think she understood everything that was going on, but she knew you needed that respect. Remember the generation she came from. In order to have the respect that she needed and was required to do the job that she did have to have that air. Because if she didn't, they would have walked all over her, as they tried to a lot, if you read the history. But she was strong. She's a strong, independent woman.
She was amazingly strong, and I was always impressed with that. And I love it. She even drove her own truck. Not only did she work on it, she drove it, and I just love that, with a smile on her face.
Yep.
It's yeah. I've always loved her for that, and I just think she's amazing, and so I've always admired her for that. And she kept her promises. She promised that she would serve her, her country for her whole life, and she did.
And she did. And she absolutely did.
She did.
And she was also a strong horsewoman, like, right? She rode, and her daughter was even rode competitively for a while and everything. They were big on that. Her corgis, though, Aimee, huh? Like, her love corgis. I know.
They were so cute.
I always picture her out in Scotland with her welly boots on and walking around with it, just with a gun over her shoulder or under her arm.
Yeah, but that's the thing. The English tradition of hunting during certain seasons and during events, like, she kept that all strong. And all, everyone in the monarchy, all of her grandchildren, everybody,
they all know how to shoot, but
they did.
They're very controlled about it, though, which is very responsible, you know. I just, yeah.
Hmm.
But that's how I picture in those wellies, you know.
Exactly. And the whole time she maintained, not only was she a strong, independent woman, she also maintained her ladylike demeanor as well, so she was able to combine both of those in such an amazing way. And that's a good thing, you know, and she was herself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And that's the
exactly.
best person you can be. And I just think that's just amazing to me.
Mm.
Yeah, I love that. Hey, MJ was talking about the time she drove the Saudi prince around Balmoral.
She did, and it's so bumpy, and the roads are like hot. Yeah, they're horrible. Like that must have been some ride. Can you imagine? Like,
Good for her.
Whoa, that's good. Mhm.
Yes,
Yep.
first and last had the best comment. Feminine, yet more balls than most men. And yes, thank you. She did, and it was amazing. Exactly.
I think that
Yes.
was
Thank you,
one-
Tony.
I think that was one of the thing that the politicians that dealt with her admired the most, is that how straightforward she was, and yet friendly and easy to talk to, but don't try to pull anything over on her.
No, she was intelligent too. So,
She
you know,
just-
she had that.
Yeah.
And Jay Johnson said she liked riding horses with the queen. You know, Ronald Reagan liked riding horses with her. So that she used to have something that she could, you know, have in common with each leader that she talked to. She was really good about that, you know, and Tony Regime did make a
bonding.
yes. Exactly. And Tony Regime had a good comment too. Lots of women during World War II were amazing. The women of the ATA managed things that many men thought were impossible. They would fly Lancaster bombers single-handed with no radio. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Mhm.
that's incredible. That's just amazing to me.
And during that war, a lot of things happened in a lot of countries where women had to step up and run the factories and do jobs that they were never had never done before, to keep things going just in each country that was participating in the wars, because the men were fighting.
They were
You
gone
know, they
fighting.
were
Rosie
gone.
the
They were.
Riveter.
100%.
Yes,
Yes.
But that happened in more countries than just ours, like everywhere.
Yes.
You know, so were a lot of female spies that were out there too, especially in World War II. Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
absolutely.
I want to do a show on that someday, the success of female spies, because I was just looking at something statistically with the CIA and FBI and the recruitment records, and how they feel that there's just something they get the job done, and they don't
do.
get
What
caught,
about
and they don't get caught as often. I don't know why. They just I
what
want to
about
look into that.
Hadley Lamar and the random frequency swapper?
Yes. Not only was she beautiful, she was smart too.
Mm.
You know, and it's so Andrew Tate.
Yeah. Well, back to Tate. We're gonna end this show with a big grub muffin.
Way more
Tate,
interesting
like,
topics than that
Exactly.
asshole.
Yes.
No, true, but he's funny though, Mipet. Like, I mean, it's just like it's the best clapback that I've seen in a long time. I just, well, yeah, too funny.
Oh yeah, I agree.
They should. All you members should be putting grub muffins for tea in the chat.
Yes. May we please have some grub muffins?
Maybe we could
please?
start a petition to Romania that be part of the punishment for whatever they find him guilty of, that he has to eat a grub muffin a day. That would be
Yeah, it's just a poop covered grub muffin. Thank you. So yes, gotta love the grub muffin. Gotta have the poopy grub muffin. He's my favorite. Yes, thank you.
Guys, there's a donation that came in, and I
Oh.
don't know if Streamlabs has just puked up its lunch, but Aimee, I tagged you in the green
Oh.
room there. Look at the username. Now,
it's
It gave an
unreal.
ID number.
Yeah, it doesn't say the name, it says the ID number.
yeah, and
Oh.
I have
Oh,
the
I'm
email for
sorry.
the donation, and I don't see that name in the chat, so I'm not doxing any, like,
I know, don't dare.
Yeah.
I know, exactly.
So whoever sent that donation in, let us know in the chat so Aimee can shill you out and everything proper. Sorry, I don't know
Properly,
what the
please.
tech is
Yeah.
fucked up.
I don't know what happened.
Mm.
I know, what kind of name is that? Yeah, that's a funky name, but they donated $10 and thank you so much. We
Mm.
appreciate that. So thank you for the support. We appreciate it. So, sorry about that. It makes me feel bad because we can't shout out someone properly if Streamlabs is, I don't know, what are they doing? I'm vomiting, I guess. I don't know, or maybe getting the hiccups. I don't know.
I think they're on a bender. I think it's because of New Year's. They just need a couple of days to get themselves straightened out. Who knows?
They're having the hiccups.
Yeah, they
then.
got drunk for a couple of days, and they're like,
can- yeah.
"Whoa,
Well,
holy
look at
shit!"
all the marathon streaming that's been going on too. Like, there's the Christmas Eve marathon into Boxing Day, and then New Year's Eve into New Year's Day. Like, yeah, people are tired. Maybe Streamlabs is overworked.
I
Or
think so.
they're getting you ready for a strike. They're looking for more pay or something. They're going they're getting a union
Yes.
together. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
But thank you so much for that. And so we do appreciate that so much. And we're so sorry that Streamlabs decided to
Yeah.
hiccup. I would say it's a hiccup. It looks like the cartoon characters, whenever they showed them in the past and it was New
Mhm.
Year's and they were drunk, they'd have bubbles coming off their heads. Does that really happen? I don't know. I've never been.
I've never seen anybody actually have bubbles come off their head. I've seen drool. I'll give you that, like little
And the
bubbles,
funny
like, but
eyeballs,
I've
but-
never and the funny eyeballs. But I've never seen the bubble. I know what you're talking about, where they make the little bubbles all over the head. I never seen
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
They
okay. So you've never ever been drunk enough. Okay, sorry.
I've never been drunk before.
Drunk enough? You have to be drunk enough to see the bubbles.
Or
Is
at
that what
all.
you're telling us? It doesn't matter how drunk the other person is.
I
we
don't
gotta be
drink
drunk.
anymore,
Yeah,
obviously.
I was like, oh.
I know.
Well,
So
some
funny.
of the things you see, you can't help
Absolutely.
yourself.
Mm.
Oh yes, we do. We do need some grub muffin plushies. I have my shirt, and I get a lot of laughs and shaking of the head when I wear my grub muffin shirt in public. And I do. I don't think about it. I have it on, and what is that on your shirt?
Looking at you going, what the hell?
I get asked a lot. What is that? And then I have to explain how that come about. Yes.
Yes, and the grub muffin plushies will be coming out early in this year. So don't worry, I'm going to take a
Yay.
stick to Dick and beat him over the head, obviously.
It rhymes. It's
Oh,
And Aimee
Oh, thank you.
and Claire will be backing me up. So 3
Oh,
women onto
absolutely.
Dick. We're just going to have a beating good time.
Excellent.
That's a hashtag right there, and I had nothing to do with it, people. That was me. Okay. Make sure you know that was Mipet. Okay. Yep.
Charlie,
Exactly.
exactly. Stick to Dick.
Exactly. Yep.
Stick to Dick. I like it. It rhymes. It's good.
Oh my. Oh, it's like
She's a
Oh.
poet and didn't know it. That's good. We
We-
did get the
Yeah, we got the
Yes.
name.
we got the
Yay!
name. Yay! Thank you so much. It was from Mary Beth, and I know I'm gonna mispronounce your name. I'm sorry. It's been a long week. Mary Beth Bellon was the one who donated the $10 to us. Thank you so much. I appreciate it so much. She's wonderful. She comments on my kitties too a lot. So we have conversations over there a lot too. And she's wonderful. So thank you so much, Mary Beth. We appreciate it so much.
that's very generous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Aimee, and after Mipet, you got an offer to pay for the video for when you take that stick to Dick. From
And guess what? I've just bought a new camera too.
Oh, well, there you go. You want to contact Zachary Brittany and Mipet there and make a deal. There you go.
Dick, didn't you say that we've got a few extra dollars this month? I need an airline ticket.
An airline ticket to Canada. I don't think the Dickies could have approved that expenditure for somehow. I don't. No. I will.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm not weighing in. I'm not going to tip the scale here. I'm staying neutral. Switzerland.
Just PayPal at Shills.
Exactly. We'll make sure it gets there. Exactly. Well, I think we covered it.
Yeah,
You think we did it?
I think we did it the best that we could, depending on everything that happened in 2022. At least that's some of it, everybody. I'm sure there's much more.
I'm
And
sure
that was
we
fun.
can. Yes, that was fun.
And casual. And look, nobody cursed us out in the chat. Like, that's a great way to start the year. Thank you, chat. Thank you, everybody in the chat.
Absolutely. We were just reporting on what was happening. We so that was good. We only told what we saw. So this is good. Yes, Trump did announce his presidency. That was uncalled for.
that could have been under major natural United States disasters for 2022, but it's ending quite well. Like, I don't think he's going to actually get the nomination based on 23 lawsuits. I kid you not. I'm tracking 23 lawsuits on that man. Okay, and we've got 2 of them where the guilty is already in. We got some of them where people have already testified against him. And the majority of them, I kid you not, he filed himself. In the courts have actually sanctioned the lawyers for ridiculous frivolousness twice now. For money. Told the lawyers, you know better than to file these kind of crap. I love that kind of stuff. I love that.
I do too. I love that. I love it when they get a cantankerous judge who says that to them. This is crap. Toss this out. What are you doing? I just it's brilliant to me.
No, Shield, I'm not gonna curse up here. No, I'm not. Nope. She told me to start cursing. That would end the stream appropriately for everything else I do. But I'm not. Nope.
Yeah, sorry, I accidentally slipped in a few.
Yeah, nope. That's
I'm an Aussie. I can't help it. It's
I didn't. And I'm surprised I didn't. Usually I'll slip in one, especially if we've had some really egregious stuff.
No, I think the worst you said was poop. Even when we talked about tea, I think the worst you said was poop. And that's not even bad. It's like
by the time Aimee starts cursing, it's already
gone. It's bad.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing we can look at for the future with some of the shows is the new platform. Apparently, they're talking about the YouTube behind the scenes doing stuff about language, even on over 18 channels.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
They are already.
So we may not be able to say more than poop.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how true it is because, like, they say it's within the first 8 seconds to 30 seconds of your video if you use certain words, but my channel still exists. So
there's some weird thing where people have caught on to this right now as if it's something new. But if you go back and look at the advertiser friendly guidelines on YouTube, something I'm pretty familiar with, it was always the first couple minutes of your show or video, live or not, you have to really watch for 0 swearing if you want to stay monetized. And then the rule is if you say 4 sentences in a row that have 3 or 4 swear words in each sentence, YouTube's going to catch you on that. That's their thing. What if you say fuck every now and then in a show, nobody cares. But if you go fuck, fuckity, fuck all the time, then you're probably going to get cut.
Like that.
What about a show that's just about that stuff, like about the fuckery?
Just don't even monetize it. Why bother?
I don't anymore. I don't. And you know what? They've been leaving it yellow, at least limited. Like, they don't take it off, but it is as advertised. But it's in the promos and everything for. It's in the actual intro. Like, that's why I probably have to change the intro a little bit.
I can tell you that they definitely nail you. The last video with Jut Monk in it got less than 100 impressions. I mean, less than 100. They promoted it less than 100 times because of all the swearing. The one that I posted yesterday, as of 2 hours ago, it got about 800 something impressions. So,
Yeah.
and it had far less swearing.
See,
It's weird though, because like my mayhem always goes over 200, 250, sometimes 400. And that show, if anybody saw the last one, was nothing but every explicit word you could say, like for like 2.5 hours, like on and off. Maybe you were there. It was bad. It was one of the
I was
worst
just
ones
going
I've
to
ever
say,
done.
well, there's a
It was-
fair as
it
my
was- it
fucking channel. Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
it was definitely one of the worst I've ever done, and that actually does better than my normal, like a read where I'm just reading Edgar Allan Poe or somebody, you know, and they don't push that at all, but they throw my mayhem out there and then yell at me about it. I don't know. I don't know.
yeah, YouTube makes no sense. Yeah, here
Yeah,
we'll
no
put this
visual.
out for you, but would you clean up your act? It's just,
Yeah,
what? You know?
Well, in 2022, I was famous for YouTube actually sending me an email with that word in it, because I asked them explicitly what I did. They got my like little 6-minute legal video pulled down, and it was that word within the first 8 seconds. Like
Wow.
they explicitly told me what it was, but I got them to write it out and say it to me.
That's funny.
I was very happy about that. I'm like, you mind telling me exactly what it is I'm saying that you're so offended by? Yep. And I got the YouTube video. I got the YouTube. And then, yeah, too much.
Exactly. I know.
Eh.
Fixing my headphones. There we go. But yeah, they've done some strange things with that too, and yeah, we've had to be careful. And then, gotta be careful the first few minutes before so they don't demonetize us. Then someone really. It's
I
funny.
mean, that's for the bot only, right, Dick? We're talking
think
about
so.
the
Yeah,
bot.
yeah.
For the first
Yeah.
I think so.
If
Yeah.
they
The
do a
monetization.
review, like if they go back and they review the stuff on my channel, I'm sure they have something to say about most of it, like eventually. Well,
Well,
it's not a manual review. It's just the bot, like what the
Right.
bot touches. Yeah.
The bot flags us now as demonetized during our standby as we're doing that 3-minute countdown, waiting to go live. So figure me that one.
What word is in there? Do you say
Nothing.
anything in there?
There's
Is it typed out anywhere? Any curse
No,
word?
nothing. Nothing.
So
Wow.
not a thing is in there. No words, just music and
Yep. And literally every show,
The
once
title
we're
of the
live
show.
for 2 minutes, I can go into YouTube Studio content and look, and it's always yellow. Always.
always already.
They do that with my true crime and legal. If the word murder is anywhere in my description or title, like they automatically put it yellow. If killer, murder, or like assault, or any of the other words for things that I cover that are a little violent or anything, any of those words make it immediately yellow. It's bizarre, and
It
yet
is very
it's
bizarre.
covered everywhere on YouTube. Like this is happening. It's a true
And they-
crime channel. How do I not say the word murder? Come on.
I
and there's-
know. This is what your channel's about, is talking about crime stuff. I mean, it's just
Go
Yeah,
figure,
what
right?
you could say like, oh, he just got a little stabby. Like what? You know? Like,
Oh, okay. Okay.
A little stabby.
So,
gotta find some synonyms. I will have to get you with thesaurus so you can pass the bot.
so my whole deal is about telling it the way it is, and using the real language and telling them the real facts. But then I've got to like coach around YouTube and make it into a little cutesy story like Cinderella with a bad ending. Like, no, I can't do that. Like they're just yeah. I'll just have to wait till they catch up with me. I can't do it that way. This is no way.
I know.
Murder's murder. Come on.
It is what it is. It's better.
It's like,
Liam says,
a little
"You said
stabby.
thank you,
I'm gonna have that
Dawson."
in my head now. Yeah, you just tell them they got a little stabby on the people. If I,
A little shooty or something. Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
it's gonna be
A
all
pointy
fault
pointy.
Monday when that comes out of my mouth on my show. So, manager, as you're listening now, I'm just telling you how it is. That just really hit me. That's gonna be that's what's gonna happen. I can just see it now.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. So that's the year it was, Aimee, 2022.
It was. It was yet another crazy, crazy year. But you know what? The good thing is it's over. And I'm sure we have we have lots of craziness to look forward to in 2023. So I'm really excited about that too. So we'll have something to cover for you yet again next year. So this should be fun. So I do want to thank everyone in the panel for coming. I want to thank you so much. This was such a fun show to do, and we covered a lot of good things, and we got to talk a lot about it, and it was a nice lighthearted moment. We had some good funny moments at the beginning. I love that. So thank you for that. I want to thank everyone in the chat for coming as well. Thank you so much. Thank you all for your support and your great interaction with us in the show, and we appreciate everything you do. So thank you so much. So thank you for that. And we want to wish you all a great good night. Good night, everybody. Happy New Year.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Happy
Good
New
night.
Year.
Happy New Year.
Bye-bye.
Oh.
It's over. Go home.